Yeah. All things pass.
Indeed.
At least, are you working, John? You're going to the Hill? You just,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys aren't affected by the shutdown.
No.
Oh, okay. Or the snow.
No. Well, yesterday I took off because of being sick. I was sick most of the weekend, and then I realized that it snowed because I went out yesterday afternoon, but the snow had already fallen off my car, and I didn't have to deal with any snow, so
Oh, yeah.
it was good. But yeah, I called in sick yesterday because I couldn't do it. Today was my first day back at work. But,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm better, much better. So
Yeah.
Good.
yeah.
Whatever, that tea must be working.
Yes.
Tell you one thing that works with, it actually prevents colds from taking hold, is this, it's not a new product, but over the last 10 or 15 years, well, Zicam had this product that was made with zinc. You put it in your nose, but they had to take it off the market because some people were putting it too far up their nose.
Oh.
It was causing them to lose their smell.
Oh.
So they came up with a new product. It does the same thing. You put it in your nose, and if you catch, I'm susceptible to colds, being that I'm a smoker, and but whenever I notice one coming on, I'll take this stuff and apply it. You have to apply it for about 3 days, but the cold never actually takes hold.
What is this called?
It's called Zicam Cold Remedy.
You mean it's just the tablets you suck on?
Well, they do make tablets. Those are usually, I think, still have the zinc in them, but this is like a different formula, and you swab it inside the opening of your nose.
Okay, that's different. I'm not familiar with it.
I've done some research, and they say that colds, the germs reproduce in your orifices, in your nose, in your mouth, and in your ears. So if you attack it in any of those places, you can stop the germ from reproducing somehow.
This happens like every 2 years when the new members are in Congress and we go up and shake their hands and train them on their sites and all that. In like a 1 week period, it'll be 12 different offices from 12 different states. So almost always we get sick during this time.
Oh, because you're exposed to everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
Oh.
So.
Oh, you'll have to start wearing one of those.
Welcome to DC.
My name is Darth Vader.
Leading you to the dark side.
He could pretend to be a strict Muslim woman. We look out of the 2 eye holes.
Yeah, why do the men not have to wear those things on their hair?
Because they're ugly.
No, that's one of the things working where I work. I don't have any kind of outside political opinions or views, or it comes and goes like everything else, it's no worries. Matter of fact, my friend and I, when we were talking about that today, how people get so caught up in like all the events and they get irritated, like they actually feel like internal irritation because of these external events. And I was just speaking with him and I said, I just don't get that. Like, why would I get irritated because of an external event and disturb my own peace because of something, even if I believed, this is, if I really thought that it was true, why still would I disturb my peace to get involved in, like Maharaj says, mind your own business. Because why? You know, oh, this is happening over here and I'm supposed to be disturbed. Or even you see people get in football games and they'll be like so riled up for their team and against the other team and hating on the I mean, to me, it's like, come on, man, why in the world would you disturb your peace to be a participant in something that is disturbing the peace? You know, it's like, let's all get together on a Sunday and scream at the TV. How is that going to be? I don't know. But, you know, what is happening, and everybody has their own definition of happiness, so they can do their thing.
Well, I'm a big football fan, and I've found a way to adjust my attitude to not carrying on the disappointment of losing, especially being a Cleveland Browns fan. And what I've done is I found it kind of true that first I loved the game of football. I just loved the game. I used to play it a lot, and second, I love having a home team. Third, in importance, is winning. So anyway, I've developed. I watch every single game, no matter if we lose a lot, from the beginning to the very end, because I just like the game, and I've found that I can enjoy the game without concern whether winning or losing is not the most important thing.
Yeah, so like an entertainment, but not to get yourself all riled up and oh my God, this is so terrible, this is happening, or come on, do this.
Yeah, right.
That's like, I don't know. And I know there are people who do that, and that's fine. I'm not trying to judge or do anything. I just, you know, there's a lot of things in the illusory world to get worked up about. And, you know, if you find and pick a specific topic that you enjoy to get worked up about, you're going to get worked up about it. If you remain formless and allow these things just to pass through you as they will, then there's no worries.
I think that Congress could definitely use that message.
Yeah.
Not that they would.
Something's happened to somebody's microphone there.
You can hear that water sound. It's
Yeah.
Not me. Hello. I don't think it's me. Is there somebody who's joined and we're not seeing them on the screen? No, we have 6 participants. I don't know.
You're the only one with different equipment, do you think? Are you wearing earphones?
I'm going to disconnect to see if it's me. No, it's not me.
I wonder if it could be Kathleen, because once in a while her voice has gone into sort of almost background.
I just put myself on mute. It's not me.
I'm going to have a phone here.
It did seem to change as she was walking around. So maybe it's Trish's.
Want me to talk?
Okay, it's going away now. Maybe you did something?
I didn't do anything.
No?
I just changed. I took the phone out because I remembered if it rings, it's a pain. But that wouldn't have affected this.
It'd be kind of quiet now.
Excuse me.
It would have been annoying if it lasted the whole time.
Yeah, who knows what causes these weird things? I don't know.
Not that I'd really be annoyed. I'd figure out a different way.
See, John, I still get hooked into politics. There isn't much else that I'm that hooked into.
I mean, again, it's.
And I didn't used to get it. It's just that I have an issue about Trump, and I have a lot of judgment.
Yeah, I mean, again,
normally I could ignore the whole thing.
There's an I am somebody else automatic separation, and you're believing in the illusory world.
Yep, I am.
Holding on to the sense of presence and knowing that this whole thing is just a passing show that's appearing on your spontaneous presence. The seer is reality. All the seen is just illusion. It's projections. And truly, you're going to see the world that you're projecting based on the ideas, beliefs, and concepts you may be holding about yourself. So if there's no concepts that you're holding, then everything can just be freely as it is because there's no you there to disturb it. And you could look at it in the most basic sense, like Maharaj would say, even if you think intellectually, all this illusory world came along with this body. And all this politics and all this kind of stuff is coming along with this body. Now, yes, if it affected you directly, you could say, something is happening, or like the federal workers who aren't getting paid. If you're a federal worker, you could say, whoa, this is not good. But at the same time, you would know this is an illusory world. It's just like a dream. I remain with my selfless self. All this is going to pass. It's only mind that's going to create me in time that's going to create suffering based on thoughts that are flowing and will flow by if I don't have an I am somebody else in there. And I'll just remain. You are spontaneous presence. Except your selfless self, there's no God, no Brahman, no Paramatma, no Master. Nothing is there. You are final reality.
And I think that, since it's a dream, everything in the dream is impersonal. It's like, it's just happening.
Yeah.
I'm happening, Trump's happening, everybody's just simply happening. And no one has any control over anything, basically. It's just happening. And there's nothing to really be concerned about or worried about, because it's simply a dream. It's, I don't know, it's just basically, it's happening the way it's happening.
But there has to be a you to observe the happen. That's the thing. The only thing that you can do, so to speak, is to remain with your selfless self and allow all these things to come and go. You don't take the touch. You don't take the touch. And you see, too, if you really want to go back all the way through all the different history, so many different things, so many different times. Remember, when these books of Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramana Maharshi were being created, they were having massive wars, like really bad wars. People were coming there and saying, Maharaj, what do you think about Vietnam and Korea and all this kind of stuff? And he was just like, oh, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And they talked about, the Nazi uprising and all this kind of stuff. And Ramana Maharshi was like, oh, this, I don't see anything. Everything is okay. This is good. This is good. So that's where, Siddhara Meshra Maharaj, those were times where, like, really, you could say, okay, political times, whatever. But these are like really war times where people were coming to Maharaj and saying, what do you think about the chaos and the slaughter in the world? And Maharaj says, in what world are we speaking? It's an illusory world, and everything that's happening is happening because of the belief of being a body in a world. You remain formlessly with your selfless self, and all these things are appearing on spontaneous presence. And this mind, ego, intellect, you no longer take the touch of, so this world cannot be perceived as something solid and formidable. It's seen as just passing. If I don't pay attention to this, it's gone. It's like gone. There's nothing. But I can't fool myself and say that I am not disturbed, because I is the disturbance. And mantra allows slowly, silently, and permanently this body knowledge that's been impressed. That's where all these sticky concepts are being held onto from that position. The positionless position is prior to beingness. And immediately, boom, we go back to, well, there's nothing. Prior to beingness, nothing. Prior to beingness, no anything. And Maharaj says, all needs, all requirements come along with the body and dissolve along with the body. So why not live peaceful, happy, tension-free now? Okay, some kind of political thing is going on, but I need not take the touch of this because I know myself in a real sense. And everything's just a stage, a passing show on your spontaneous presence. You give reality to the things you see and believe by holding on to I am somebody else, seeing and believing these things.
You know, one question I have is, you know, like the dream, you know, like this whole manifestation is a dream. Who is the dreamer? Is it simply an event within consciousness itself, which has nothing to do with selfless self? There's no relationship, in other words, between, you know, like I know that Ranjit once said that, you know, like be the screen. The screen shows the picture, but it doesn't take the touch. It has absolutely nothing to do with the picture. So the whole dream is, I guess, is simply consciousness happening. You know, like that, like Nisargadatta says, the impersonal functioning of the totality. You know, this whole thing.
Well, again, and that's even going from the individual sense. Remember, spirit clicked with the body, and you say I. Prior to I, there was no existence, no knowing of existence. It was the absence of I, the absence of existence. Suddenly, spirit clicked with the body, and you perceive this world, just like in a dream, you lay down, and boom, the whole world is projected. Spirit clicks with the body, and suddenly you know yourself. And that's why Maharaj says, we talked about this a lot last week, about know yourself in a real sense. Yes, now you know yourself because it clicks, this sense of existence. What is this? I exist, but I don't exist as what I think I am. I exist. I just exist. That just I. Just
the presence.
Just the presence that is clicked with the body.
The knower or the presence, maybe.
And that's it. There's no, and then see, once you click with the body and then you're seeing this world, then all of these things, all the things that the masters say, everything, all can make sense and also not make sense and can be argued for and can be argued against and can be led down many, many rabbit holes. But that's why remaining prior to beingness, knowing yourself in a real sense through the mantra, through the meditation, through the constant impressing that I was not body, I am not body, I'm not going to remain the body. Body is not my identity. I know myself through this body, but I am not this body. The formless sense of presence, this clicked with the body and created everything that's seen. Without this presence, this is a dead body. We've talked about this before. Presence is removed from this body. It's bag of bones, blood, and skin. That's it. Presence is put with this body and we say, I. But the presence is everywhere. It's in all things, everything. All of this is just a manifestation inside your selfless self. And you are viewing this as a telescope. You're using this body as a telescope into the consciousness that's appearing to you, and you're believing you're an object in consciousness, much like a dreamer would believe he's inside the dream that he's the dreamer of. But the dream is just happening because there's you don't know you exist. All of everything in everywhere. And then suddenly, existence, but not existence in body form. Knowing yourself in a real sense through the meditation, you begin to sense that sense of presence. That sense of presence is yourself, the formless knowledge. And you know yourself in body form, but you are not this body. So that's why Maharaj always says, know yourself in a real sense, not body. Know yourself without the body form. And then you'll see that all of this world is absolutely illusion. You're formlessness. You're just I without anything, without any form, without ego, mind, intellect, without body, without world. Yes, okay, you happen to be using a body, but you know yourself formlessly. So you know, okay, spirit clicked with the body, and that's it. And then you don't have to worry about any of the, all the spiritual knowledge, all the spiritual books, all the spiritual masters are just to do one thing, to get you to identify yourself in a real sense. When you read any of the masters, they always talk about you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. Meditation is impressing. You are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. So all of these, even the idea, even the concept of you are Brahman is only leading back to your selfless self. So that when you know yourself in a real sense, that's it. That's what's called the spontaneous conviction. Oh, so that I, that, this, that you are, that you are. And then all of this you are not. And everything that you see is absolutely illusion coming from that you are. And when the illusion goes away, that you are is still there, because that, again, when we talked about when the body falls, the spirit that clicked with the body will also, quote, unclick. The body will fall. The spirit still is. That spirit, that selfless self, it was prior to beingness. It will be after the beingness. Prior to beingness, you were formless. After leaving the body, you will be formless. Currently, you're knowing yourself in form, and that's the only time you know yourself. So, since you have this sense of existence of knowing yourself, dive deep and know yourself in a real sense, not the body form that you believe yourself to be. This is done through mantra, through meditation, through impressing the reality and discarding the illusory concepts, which is the only thing that's separating you from yourself are the concepts, the layers of illusion that have been added on to your spontaneous presence.
When I get a sense that I am just, or that not necessarily I am, but presence is, I'm aware of presence, and well, usually, like I said last week, there's an element of me being there, but there's also an element of me not being able to, there's something there that's not me, or something here that's, I don't know what it is. I can't distinguish it from it is what it is. I can't distinguish it from being what it is. And that when I start to think about it, then I think, well, I can't really call it nothing because it's palpable. There's something. There's a palpable freedom, and it's like something that seems to be all. It penetrates everything around me, or something.
Well, again, you just give it to the me and everything that's around, because that me that's around is identification with a body form. And like Nisargadatta Maharaj says, remain with the I am. The I am is the sense of presence. That sense of presence you dive deeply into. And it will dissolve this illusory layer of Keith through mantra, through remaining with your selfless self. Remaining with your selfless self, remaining with the I am, all these things, same kind of thing. It's just that sense of presence that investigates the idea of a you.
So, but when intellectually anyway, I have trouble with the idea of, okay, there's selfless self, and then
there's nothing else other than that.
And then you say there's nothing.
What? No, no, no. Selfless self. That's it. Remember, Maharaj says, accept your selfless self. There's no God. There's no Brahman. There's no Atman. There's no Paramatman. There's no master. Nothing.
Well, there would be no nothing either then.
Nothing except your selfless self. And the selfless self is invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity.
And
Spontaneous, invisible, anonymous, unidentified.
And when I feel that presence, there's something.
I who feels is.
Well, there's something very loving going. It loves it. It's like love is. I can't help but love it. You know?
Well, then again, this is, using mind, ego, intellect to label love, and I love this presence. But this presence is the selfless self. And the selfless self knows yourself through body form because you know your existence. But now you just know yourself in a real sense, dissolving the illusory layers, remaining with your selfless self, remaining with the I am, remaining with mantra. When the illusory world and all the different things start to appear on your spontaneous presence and your attention might go out to them, instead, just remain with your selfless self. The more you remain with your selfless self, as Nisargadatta Maharaj has said, then the I am opens up all its secrets. The secrets is, there is nothing except that. That you are, that's it. There's nothing else. There's no Keith trying to figure it out because there is no Keith. There's selfless self through the conceptual idea of Keith trying to figure out itself in the illusory world using body form.
I guess I just should stop thinking about whether it's nothing or something.
Well, the whole idea is forget about mind, because mind is a flow of thoughts and it doesn't need to be activated into a thinker. The thoughts flow freely unless you activate a thinker by attention of I am somebody else thinking this thought. Don't think these thoughts. Allow these thoughts to come and go, and then no thinker is created. There's no me thinking thoughts. Its thoughts are passing. And like Maharaj then says, good thoughts are how many? Bad thoughts? Bad thoughts? I don't want so much. Thank you, thank you. Good thoughts, I'll take. Maharaj uses the example of if I come to your house and you have served me many different dishes. And some dishes are very delicious. I enjoy them very much. Other dishes I'm not so happy about, so I won't eat those. So just the same with thoughts. I pick the ones I want to use and I discard the ones I do not. And who is this that's picking and discarding? Selfless self.
Because my mind will say, once I start thinking about nothing,
Well, remember, there's no my mind.
then I'll start to get scared, like, well,
Yeah, but there's no my. Well, because see, nothing to Keith is the end of Keith's existence. But Keith never existed, so there's nothing missed. You understand? Keith and John and Kathleen, there's nothing missed because there are just appearances in the nothing for a time, and they'll return back to nothing. The nothing is your selfless self. For a time, like we said, spirit clicked with the body. All this existence clicked with the body and understood suddenly, I exist. But existence is not this body form, as it is assumed, and as other bodies are telling you, yes, you're this body. You're this body, and we label this body John, and John has to go out and do these things and go out into this world. So, no, you know yourself in the existence of, I exist. But as Maharaj says now, know yourself in a real sense. Right now, you know yourself in body form. When you know yourself in body form, the body, all needs, all requirements came along with the body. The body had a family. The body has relations. The body has needs, requirements, all this sort of stuff. But you are not body. So when you know yourself in a real sense, then use the body, enjoy it, but know that it's just like a dream. When this body falls, I wake up. I wake up means I return to my natural, attributeless, absence of all things state of everything, which can't even be described. Absence of all everything. You are that. So you won't be pretending to be a limited little thing anymore. You'll just be yourself. But you won't know that because there's not a limited little thing that you can see other than yourself. It's just yourself. And so you won't know. The only way you know yourself is through the illusory world, in an illusory body, and you say, I.
I'll stop creating discriminations then.
Yeah, just hold. Remember what we talked about, that little exercise. If you close your eyes, you go back, 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 back. And from that way back position, you just remain. How is thinking going to happen? I'm way back here. My mind is on this screen, and I'm not. How? I have to pick and how? No, I just remain here.
It does seem like the last couple of days I've had a little bit of success of
But remember, the success is happening through the illusory form of Keith in the illusion. That's why Maharaj all the time, he says, no experience, no experiencer. That's the ultimate state. All of these little states are good as far as progressive steps, but the reality is you're not experiencing anything. You are formless. You are absolutely formless. How does a formless something experience anything? It does it through the illusory concept of otherness, or I am a body that can do these things and have these experiences. But you're not experiencing anything. It's in the dream. You know, you talk about the consciousness. The consciousness, everything you've ever known, all your family, all your friends, everybody is in that bubble of illusion, that bubble of consciousness. And when that bubble goes, that's it. It's finished. But it never was, so there's nothing like really to be sad about. There's nothing. Like, accept your selfless self. There's nothing. No things. All the things that you are seeing are illusion to selfless self. When you finish this dream by the body falling, then you just go back to your normal natural state without all this disturbance that you call world and living.
Yesterday I went for a walk, and when I was, last week when I returned to Sedona, we were talking about hiking in the Red Rocks. Kathleen mentioned that, and also you, Keith. So I went for a walk in the Red Rocks yesterday, and there was a moment when all of a sudden, I was reflecting on, the whole thing that we're always reflecting on. And basically what happened was that it just, everything just went. There was just nothing. And it was like a flash. I don't know if that's an experience too, because it's happening through this body-mind. But it was like just plain old nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just nothing. And that was that. It didn't stay, but that was just it, I don't know.
You see, that's the natural state. And when you say it didn't stay, then that was the creation of the experiencer experiencing that quite natural state.
Yeah.
And that's how many times people will say, oh, I was able to hold this for like a little while and then it came back. No. You were in the formless reality, just I, until then you have separation in your conceptual belief of I am remaining. I am remaining a selfless self. I need to discover selfless self. A duality is created conceptually that does not actually exist. There's nothing. And that when you're experiencing just I, like Nisargadatta Maharaj has said, waking up in the morning, first thing, it's just I. No Andrew, no world, no worries, no problems, just that feeling of existence. And then mind starts to give you this projected world. The longer you hold yourself without thought, I think, again, Nisargadatta Maharaj says the greatest worship is to hold yourself without thought. And that's it. Like, there's no thought, there's no anything, because there's no thinker, there's no experience, no experiencer, because you're literally formlessly aware, and all of this is appearing on your spontaneous presence. And then it's just so that I. And as soon as something might arise that, oh, this is an amazing experience, mantra, just remain. Don't allow this person to come in and try to pressure and say, I'm having this amazing experience. Just remain with selfless self.
I guess what I was saying is sometimes these experiences that pass, that of becoming free of mind, happen. It seems like just the past couple of days I was able to distinguish form and formless, get a feel for the sense of when formlessness is present and when form is present, is coming present. It felt like I could, it seems like I can feel like a distinction between those two senses of being here.
Well, remember too that the discrimination is very, very quick because everything that the mind is presenting to you, the formlessness, is in form. The mind is presenting thoughts, ideas, beliefs, concepts, and it's presenting the world to you in form, and you know yourself in a real sense as the formlessness. So that's automatically discriminated, discarded everything. Oh, this is over here, and I'm supposed to take the touch and get all upset about it. But wait a minute, I remain in my formless sense of presence, and this passes because it's nothing.
I mean, it seems like I can even do it right now if I want. I can just sort of distinguish formlessness and form.
Just withdraw into yourself. It's a natural, again, the easiest, quickest way. You close your eyes and boom, 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 you're back. And you're there, like, and there's nothing. So, and that's the same when you're doing mantra and you're sitting there and you're breathing in and out and you're observing, and then you're observing the mantra as it's running, no longer doing mantra, you're observing mantra as it's running, and then that sense is just very quiet.
And the mantra definitely helps.
Because it clears away all the illusory concepts. Without I am somebody else having this great experience, that's nice. But if I were to concentrate on myself, the self, and through mantra erase this idea that I'm having this wonderful experience, then I erase the experiencer. Because again, remember, spirit clicked with the body, the form world appeared, all the problems, all the everything came along with the body. So what's in this body? Just glimpses, just I. No identification with anything. Everything can come and go. You just remain formlessly aware with your selfless self in the I am, whatever you want to call it. Just remain. Don't give your attention away. We talked before about the chariot. You know, the chariot, if you let an attention go and it takes the chariot, all of a sudden now you're being drugged behind this chariot and flipping this way and that way and all this kind of stuff, when all you have to do is just pull in the reins very quickly. And yes, you could say, well, you know, that sounds like a doership. Well, that's something to do in the moment while you're presenting yourself in body form. And, oh, this attention, I want to hold this attention. And then once you're here where you are, then you're just seeing formlessly, using form, but knowing that it's just there. There's nothing. There's no. You use mind, ego, intellect as and when required, but it's not like something that's bothering you that you have to go check on. You check in with mind, ego, intellect every so often when a little task has to be performed. Like Maharaj has said, pick up the water, put it down. That's ego. Question or it comes up to the mind, whoa, I'm thirsty. Okay, pick up this water, take a drink, put it down. That's it. Everything is like this.
And when I think that the mantra is helping me, then I have to ask, well, who do you think it's helping?
Well, again, the mantra is getting rid of this person who's asking these questions. Because once you touch yourself in your formless state, there won't be a questioner. How? And you won't expect answers from anyone because you're formless. So you just know, oh, okay, I'm just answering and questioning myself. Like there's nobody there that can respond to a question. And then mostly it'll be like Maharaj says, that internal master kind of selfless self-dialogue. You'll be asking and answering your questions internally by yourself, but then also answers will come externally because it's no longer external. You'll know that everything is in consciousness, and this consciousness is yourself.
And a lot of questions just won't even appear.
They can't, because all questions have to do with the body. Unless you're thinking of yourself as a body form, you can't ask a question. Because what question can you ask if you're formlessly everything all the time and you have no specific identity, no specific identification, no local identification? So there's no such thing as time or space or anything, because there's nothing that you can point to that says, okay, from this point, this question is being asked. Every question is a body-based question. Even who am I is a body-based question, because there's an I that's asking something. Oh, who am I? Something separate. I create a separation through conceptual belief of who am I?
But you have, I just came across this thing on the web, and it said that faith is practice, and practice is faith. And it kind of made sense in the sense that if you're going to do a practice such as self-inquiry, you have faith in that practice. And
just faith in yourself and faith in the master. The master has said, this is the mantra, do this mantra, everything will be well with you. And you have faith in the fact that this lineage is a sparkling lineage. You know, Guruling Jenghum Maharaj gave this mantra to Balseb Maharaj. Balseb Maharaj gave this mantra to Siddhar Meshwar Maharaj. Siddhar Meshwar Maharaj gave this mantra to Nisargadatta Maharaj. And Nisargadatta Maharaj gave this mantra to Ramakant Maharaj, who then gave it to you. So it's a sparkling lineage, and Master is just saying, all the time, I love Eklava. The story of Eklava is powerful, and I remember when I was in the ashram, sorry, I'm going to take this cough drop. I remember when I was in the ashram, I looked at Maharaj and I said, you're my statue. You know, you're my I totally get that you are my statue. Selfless self has manifested itself and is instructing through the master. The master is your own self, but through the image of Ramakant Maharaj, Sri Ramakant Maharaj, this master is teaching and impressing. And that's it. See, once you really understand yourself formlessly, then you will know that Maharaj was yourself, and explaining in detail how to remain with yourself, how to brush off these illusory concepts, because it's your own self. Your own self is impressing instructions on yourself that, okay, in this illusory form, you thought you were this body, but you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. Once this I am the body concept is dissolved, then how is there separation? How are there individuals? You don't even sit there and have to think intellectually. Okay, you see a bunch of bodies, but again, formlessness is moving everything, is doing everything just by itself. Energy, spontaneous action. And now you don't have to roll around with the world. You don't have to take the touch of the world. Nothing is serious. Whatever's happening is happening, but it's not happening because I'm formless, so I remain with my selfless self and allow these things to come and go, as they will anyway, unless an I am somebody else is created in time with a local identification that objects are appearing in front of that are somehow disturbing myself, which all of this is occurring inside of myself, so how? But again, this investigation has to happen. This mantra, this spontaneous conviction, so that I was not body, I am not body, I'm not going to remain the body. Body's not my identity. Except your selfless self, there's no God, there's no Brahman, there's no Paramatman, there's no master. Nothing is there. And don't define nothing. Nothing is nothing. There is no definition of nothing. Nothing is the absence of everything.
Nobody's ever really found nothing, I don't.
Well, again, nothing is just a term, and nothing is an attribute, because when you use nothing as an attribute, then you're adding something on to something that doesn't need anything. But again, that's why everybody always says neti neti. You can't say words because every word is adding something to nothing that is already there. Knock, knock on the door. Who's there? Nobody's there. Okay, but nobody was there to say nobody's there. Okay, spirit clicked with the body, but there had to be spirit to click with the body to say I. When you say I, you're in body form, but that's not your actual identity. So now you need to know yourself in a real sense. Suddenly you know yourself. Oh, I am. But you are believing yourself to be this body, which you are not. So then you learn, oh, I was not this body. I am not this body. I'm not going to remain the body. You don't need to know yourself. Selfless self has no need to know yourself at all, except now that you know yourself, you should identify yourself in a real sense, perfectly identification, not the body form. Because if you identify yourself with the body form, you're going to believe you're a body in a world, and it's going to be stressful. And all these thoughts are going to come, and your attention is going to be on those thoughts that I need to do something in this world. All these thoughts are pressing in. This is happening. That's happening. Oh my gosh, I'm stressed. But if you know yourself in a real sense, these thoughts can come and go. Every scene is just coming before you, and you know it comes and goes and comes and goes. You're outside of time, other than if you look at a watch or put an appointment on a calendar. And you get the nectar of your own selfless self. Like Maharaj says, internal happiness without any external cause. You don't need money, publicity, sex. None of these things are going to interest you at all because, again, you're formless. So money would have to be to the form. And if I believe I'm a form in a world, my mind impresses this body knowledge on me, which again comes with the pain and pleasure concept. When I'm formless, there's no pain and pleasure because there's nothing. It's just flowing and everything's ease and this and that. So you can live and enjoy spontaneous action in this, as we talked about, this incarnation, this illusory world, until it's no more. But you're not stressed. How are you stressed? Everything is illusion. You fall back on that. Anytime anything looks like it's not illusion, remember, Maharaj says it's all illusion. Anytime anything may have your attention go out to impress that something needs your attention immediately, Maharaj has said, oh yeah, things come and go. It's an illusory world. Don't take the touch. Remember the guy who got spit on 50 times when somebody's causing you an irritation and you want to let the dogs start barking and then pay attention to the barking dogs? You remember, dogs will bark, number one, and I don't need to pay attention to it. And number two, I'm not being spat on 50 times. And that's how Maharaj says too, the forgive and forget. When Jesus is being nailed to the cross and he says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's forgiveness. That's just forgive and forget. Absolute peace. Maharaj uses those different things to know yourself. When you know yourself in a real sense, and then you sit there and you say, okay, am I peaceful? Am I tension-free? Am I fearless? If not, then, okay, I admit to myself, you know what? I'm not there in this moment. So, Master has said, mantra. Build the strong foundation with meditation. And meditation, as he said, is not just sitting around like this all day long or sitting in a corner and meditating for hours. Meditation is concentration. Concentration on the concentrator as you're having this mantra running, as you're doing all your daily activities, as you're in traffic, as you're doing your job, as you're doing whatever you're doing, concentrate on the concentrator, concentrate on mantra. Don't take the touch on the things that appear to be happening. Remain with your selfless self.
It's just simply like a process of breaking down that subtle identification with the body and the mind. It's just, that's what it's all about, basically. Just breaking it down with the mantra, with meditation, with bhajans, with knowledge and so forth.
Like Maharaj
Gradually.
says, Master has said, it doesn't have to be gradual because Master has said, you are Brahman. Just like if Master said you're a donkey, he always uses that example, oh, you're a donkey, which he means ass, basically. I think they even wrote that in Ultimate Truth. But Maharaj says, you're an ass. And it's like, oh, how dare you call me an ass? But that's an immediate reaction. But Master says, you're Brahman, and you're like, oh, how can I be Brahman? I don't know. Because there's so much body knowledge impression. And
I can get that at one level that I am, and sometimes I feel that. But I mean, I have to be honest. There are days when I have reactions when I see that there is that identification there. It's just, it's basically it's still there. Not, it's not as strong as it once was, but it's still there. The identification, and it's it's always just it's like catching like it's very subtle. Sometimes you think you've kind of gotten free, and all of a sudden you see this little thing over here or this little thing over there. It's a very subtle body kind of identification going on there, and it's just kind of like, I guess, hammering away at that, just kind of getting free of it,
Well, and knowing that selfless self is the one that's seeing this identification with an Andrew and remaining there. Okay. This body form, I think Nisargadatta Maharaj says, it's going to go through what it has to go through. So Andrew, selfless self, is witnessing this character of Andrew responding in such and such a way. And Andrew, the character, is just responding and just doing. As long as there's no irritation internally, your character, just like in a dream, your dream character can get angry and go beat up the neighbor. But you, the dreamer, are very calmly sleeping and dreaming. So good things and bad things that are happening to Andrew, not to selfless self. Andrew is just appearing on spontaneous presence and may go through whatever Andrew needs to go through. But you're totally separate from this.
That's
Andrew
a good point, yeah.
So it's not that you're having trouble with, the spontaneous conviction or anything like that. You just said, I witnessed myself doing this and this. Well, that selfless self is witnessing Andrew, the character that's appearing on spontaneous presence, performing different various things. But you're not being affected at all.
But then sometimes, like Maharaj says, these are the signs when you're getting close to realization, or we all realize.
Yes.
That's the fact. And he also says that when you're getting to the fullness of that or whatever, there is these particular signs, like this forgiveness, this, he gives all those different signs. And so when I catch myself not living up to those signs, you might say, and it's not that I'm living them up intentionally, living up to them intentionally, it's just that just as you said, like there can be this or that type of reaction, which reflects that, it's not really kind of in accordance with what Maharaj is saying about when you're getting that fullness of the realization, basically. So there's that sense of, maybe that means more hammering needs to happen, more, like meditation. And it's not like getting down on myself. It's just basically just realizing, that's just the way it is, But what I hear you saying right now is that that's simply something over here that I should not even be, it doesn't make any difference. It's just simply like a phenomena happening over here, just like any other phenomena happening over there. Some other person doing one thing or another,
That's correct. Self-to self is the space in the room, and Andrew is inside that space, conducting Andrew's activities and maybe not, being totally forgiving or whatever, but self-to self is not affected. The space in the room is not affected by the objects in the space at all. And this would be seen and just discarded, but not to be, and remember Maharaj says too about not taking the touch. You don't want to sit there and then reflect and say, how did I behave in this? It's over, it's finished, forget it, because everything is just a scene occurring inside yourself. And everything is just spontaneous projection, spontaneous projection. Okay, I didn't do so good in that one, but shoop, left it. Okay, boop, left it. Okay, here. And identification with the formlessness that the form is actually moving about in. And when we talked about before, okay, the space inside this room is your selfless self. Let's say, if at all you want to compare, you compare yourself to space. There's 4 people inside that space. All these 4 objects inside of the space that you are your selfless self. So if you are witnessing through this body form conducted activities or a little bit snippy or not so spiritual or whatever, it's actually not anything to do with the space.
Right.
The object of Andrew is performing some way, somehow, but it's not needed to be necessarily taking the touch of this. Remaining with your selfless self, formlessly, just I. Even after some thing like you said, oh, this kind of, I took the touch of this and I got a little bit upset about that or whatever. But no, not really, because again, you're formless. You clicked with the body and you say I. Inside this illusory world, this character, just like in your dream, became upset. But you, the dreamer, are not upset. It's this character over here that's being upset. And you are actually the you that you are. All of this movement, you are the background that's providing this, like you were saying, the screen.
Right.
And all these images and all this movement are appearing on that screen. Because without presence, the body's a dead body. And nobody can get in an argument or disagree with anyone because it's all presence. So if I pull the presence, we say out of all these bodies, they're all dead bodies. Then all the presence is put back in. It's just one presence, animated in different ways and conducting itself in different ways or whatever, but just through the 5 elemental body. Not you.
Without the screen, there is no movie.
Without presence, there's nothing. I mean, you don't see the world. Spirit clicks with the body, you say I, and you have like a little telescope into this conscious viewing, like the dreamer dreaming the dream that's projected, and you're inside the dream seeing yourself as a dream character. But you're the essence of the dream, not even the dreamer, because when we talk about that, it's the essence of the dreamer, the background in which all this is appearing. Again, Das Bode talks about stillness, complete and total stillness, nothingness. Then there was a stirring, and in this stirring, and the stirring is the illusory sense of existence. Because even the sense of I am is false. That sense of existence is a non-existence. It's the absence of existence that existence has appeared to.
So where did the stirring come from?
There is no, it's just the absence. There's nothing. And then suddenly you know yourself. You know that you exist. All of this whole creation is just to know yourself in a real sense. There's no reason. There's no character. There's no story. There's no anything other than now you know yourself, that you exist. Now know yourself in a real sense and not in body form.
My actual false self wants to come up with a story that the formless, that the stirring started because the formlessness had faith in that it wouldn't be harmed if it did this.
But again, see all of that just total illusion. And even Keith, see, this is when this impresses on you that you are this formless presence, then Keith won't exist anymore. And you, the selfless self, will be quite okay with the fact that Keith never was. John never was. Andrew never was.
But doesn't Ramakant say, or sometimes you say that the body was formed so that it could know itself?
Well, again, it's not so that you could know yourself. You know yourself through body. Suddenly, spirit clicks with the body, I exist. You believe, because you exist in this body form, and you know yourself in this body form, that that's the existence. But then you know yourself in a real sense. And I was not body, I am not body, I'm not going to remain the body. You're just formlessly aware. There's no real way to describe just formlessness. It's not a, you sense presence through the body form, but that you just are. You just, there's.
And the body's like a different way of knowing it or something.
But see, and you don't need to know yourself. That's the thing. Like you have no need. Selfless self has no need at all to know yourself, other than you clicked with this body, matchbox and stick, click, you see fire. Fire's everywhere, but you assume that this is you. And that's not the case. And then there's other people that say, this is you. But that's not the case.
So
then you know yourself in a real sense. And that way then, when you know yourself without this body form, through body is this sense of presence, you remain with that I am, you remain with the sense of presence, then it doesn't matter whether this body's here or not, because you know you are. That you are had to click with body in order for you to know yourself. And now when body falls, that will click and you will not know yourself, but you still will be. There's no way for you to know yourself as everything with nothing other than to create this illusory otherness.
Yeah, because they sometimes say being itself doesn't have to know itself because it is itself.
Well, because there's no way for you to know yourself. If you're one thing only, and you don't even want to say one, because there's nothing other than. It's just this that's been labeled Brahman, Atman, Paramatman, God, Master, that you are. And that's it. And that's why for Keith to realize himself is nothing. It's just the selfless self will know yourself in a real sense and no longer be believing in being Keith, but that won't matter anyway because Keith came along with the body. The idea of Keith came along with the body. A 5-elemental lump of goo that grew like a plant was labeled Keith. And then Keith was good job, Keith, bad job, Keith. Oh, don't do this, Keith. Oh, all this. And you believed yourself to be this. But when you know yourself in a real sense, all of this appeared on spontaneous presence. As Nisargadatta Maharaj says, this consciousness appeared to you. Everything that you've ever known, all the things, all the people, everything you've ever done is in this consciousness, which appeared to you and will disappear when the body is no more. It disappears. And everything that was in that bubble of illusion disappears with it. Because it was just an appearance. And that's the last thought of thinking, because the thinker can only go to the point of knowing the form world and knowing mind, ego, intellect, but the thinker is no more prior to beingness, because prior to beingness, the thinker appeared on spontaneous presence that appeared with the body, mind, ego, intellect. Prior to beingness, there's no such thing. There's no separation, there's no nothing, no concepts, no nothing, nothing, nothing. The absence of all things, everything. And again, Maharaj describes it as nothing. Something appeared in the nothing for a time and then dissolves back into nothing. And everything that was in that something is just illusion. Because you're formless. So all these forms occurring inside yourself are just forms occurring inside yourself.
You know, I think there's a tendency, I notice this in myself, of wanting somehow the character to deserve it, you know, or, you know, that if the character does something wrong, it affects, and so it's completely, maybe it's my background or something, but it's sort of mind-blowing to think, well, whatever the character does has nothing to do with who I really am. So there's no sense of, you know, this deserving or guilt or, you know, I didn't do this right, so therefore, you know, I'm going to get punished or whatever, because the character is completely independent has nothing to do with who you are.
Who you are in a real sense, this is true. But what you're speaking about is as you're working in the illusory world,
Yeah.
what we talked about, the ideas, beliefs, and concepts are impressed. Remember, Maharaj has said, whatever you impress on spirit, spirit's very sensitive, so it will project back the same. So if you decide in your own little illusory conceptual way to be nasty and hateful and all these kind of things, this will project in your illusory understanding, in your illusory state. The you that you are that's providing this projection will not be affected at all. But like you said, your experience in existence, existing in this incarnation, will experience, not karma, but you will experience, if I go around and I act very mean and all this kind of stuff, you're projecting this and your world will impress and project.
Right. But that's all on the level of the illusion.
But how you're experiencing this illusion while you're believing yourself in the world, yes.
Yeah. It's like a mirror. You get the mirror effect back.
Exactly.
But it actually doesn't say anything about who you actually are.
No. Only your conceptual ideas, beliefs, and understandings of you in the moment are projecting this reality that you're seeing, so to speak.
Right. So it has an effect on the relative level, but not on the absolute.
No, nothing can affect the absolute because nothing's happening.
Yeah.
The self of self, there's nothing has ever happened. This something, in this something, there's some laws and some rules and stuff. And like Maharaj says, it's not like that. When people say, oh, okay, well, Maharaj has said basically I can do whatever I want because it doesn't matter. So I can go and be a very bad guy. But being a very bad guy is taking the character position of being a bad guy in this illusory character and projecting and impressing on spirit that this bad guy is here creating all this bad stuff. Just like when Maharaj says, when you say, I am Brahman, Brahman I am, when you use the mantra and keep impressing the mantra, spirit is very sensitive and reflects back immediately what's impressed. So when you're totally in that, like, oh, I want to know myself, and I'm really want to know myself, and I'm trying to do this, and I'm with the mantra and bow to the masters and all this, you're impressing this. The bhajans, you're impressing this. So if you were to go out and say, okay, I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing, and I'm going to slash my neighbor's tires, and it doesn't matter because my neighbor's an illusion, but see, you're projecting your reality.
So it's like a lose-lose situation.
Much, very much. Oh, yeah. And see, you too, that's why Maharaj talks about falling into the illusory ditch. Even if you're Mr. Super Spiritual guy and you're totally like, oh, I'm so spiritual and this and that, you're falling back into the illusory ditch because you're starting to have that I am somebody else. It's a very tricky thing. You can't play with the mind and say, oh, I'm a very, very spiritual guy and this and that, because I am somebody else creates. It's like the seed that's planted for all conceptual belief. And you won't be able to erase the concepts fast enough, and you'll be lost very, very quickly in the belief that I am somebody else in this illusory world who has all these. That's why they talk about the spiritual powers. And Siddharameshwar Maharaj says, no, please, no spiritual powers. Because if you start to have these spiritual powers, it's going to impress that I am doing this. And Ramakat Maharaj has talked about how both him and Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj never took the touch of ego. It's always, my master is speaking through me. My master is doing this. I could not do anything except for my master. Because like he said, you may say, oh, I'm doing this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, then it doesn't happen the way you're thinking, and it's impressing ego all the time. Subtle ego is getting into the mix. And once the subtle ego has taken possession of the spiritual body again, you're back in the ditch. You've allowed through the back door this subtle ego to come in, and you're suddenly believing that I am somebody else who has all this power, and I'm holding it at bay because I'm the selfless self. But no, the selfless self doesn't need to say it's the selfless self, doesn't need to know it's the selfless self. You just remain, just die, allow things to come and go. When someone is irritating you in any way, shape, or form, know that it's projected from you. That this person here in front of me is projected from my selfless self. Based on my ideas and beliefs and attitudes in this moment are going to create any kind of scenario. It's either going to pass, or I'm going to create an I am somebody else in time that has an objective from someone else. Don't do that. And once you start to see this, you just live this reality. Like everyone you meet is just, you know, unless I create an I am somebody else in time that needs something, wants something, has some desire, views this person as something that I need or something, then I'm in trouble if I sit there and I create these I am somebody else. If not, if I respond to the world, as you said, as a mirror, and it's just constant mirror, then there's no impression. There's no me getting upset. There's no anybody else that can upset me because there's not a me here. There's a formless position. Nothing is bothering. Nothing is impressed. Nothing. And then, like Maharaj says, it's absolute spontaneous happiness, spontaneous peace, because you're not looking for anything outside of yourself to cause any material cause of money, publicity, sex, or anything that's going to cause you happiness. You don't need anything at all. Everything is within yourself.
Yeah, because you see all those things are empty.
Yes, because you're formless. And anything that's produced in form, why would you want this? It's produced on your spontaneous presence and is therefore an illusion. So I have to give myself up, this formless, beautiful peace, for some object that's appearing on my spontaneous presence. So I'm going to give up my spontaneous presence and the peace that I am to go out for an object that's appearing on my spontaneous presence. Just like a dream character going out and causing troubles for other people in the dream so that that dream character can be more rich. Yeah, how? That's not, yeah.
Which is what I do with football games.
Huh.
Especially if I was one of the fans that actually paid to go to the games.
Yeah, just as long as you, and it doesn't mean you don't neglect your body, you don't neglect your responsibilities. It's a dream, but live fully in the dream spontaneously. When they say it's a dream, it's because the next people that you start to meet, just know, oh yeah, we're just projecting. It's just a projection. That's actually my own selfless self. Without having to even think about that, because there's no you. You just, oh, respond. Somebody cuts you off on the elevator. Okay. Oh, well. Because the whole idea is that, see, like Maharaj says, see everything as a test of your spiritual knowledge. When something happens that would normally impress and bother you, that's when, if there's an I am somebody else that begins to be created through mantra and through impressing the master. Master, this person just cut me off and put me in there. But you said spiritual knowledge. This is a test of the spiritual knowledge. I won't take the touch of this. And you see that 5 seconds later, you've totally forgotten about it. Whereas, had you not, you'd be sitting there and bothering yourself about that one incident. Let an incident come and go very quickly, and then just say, oh, Master, you said this is going to happen. Then you begin dialoguing with yourself as self. All of these things are just to lead to knowing yourself in a real sense. That spontaneous conviction occurs, and then it's like Disneyland, basically. I don't know how else to say, you know? Everything's good, because there's nobody experiencing anything.
That seems to be the only way you really can enjoy the illusion, is if you're not in it.
Yeah.
You have to get out of it to really, actually, disengage from the, seeking of anything in the phenomenal world. When you disengage from that, then there's real aliveness and real enjoyment of the illusion, because you're not in it.
Yeah, you're not always thinking
looking
about
for anything to supply anything for you.
Exactly.
It becomes a play.
Yeah. there's no subconsciousness that's constantly saying, how are other people viewing me, or what do I need to do, or how can I get this, or, you're just interacting and enjoying. And then you'll have no sense of time. Interacting and enjoying, and everything's good, and then, well, that's it. I just noticed it's 8:30.
It's your time. It's your bedtime.
Yes.
Thank you for taking us to the happy note.
Thank you very much. Good luck with your cold, too.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, hope you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, take care of yourself.
Yes, thank you.